Hey everybody, it's been a moment, but we're back. This is Victor Padilla and my beautiful wife, Jolie Gonzalez Padilla.
Hola. More than just a moment, right? A few moments.
Yeah, we're here at El Cafe Live, Latin Times El Cafe Live, and we have two wonderful and beautiful guests with us today. We have Bel Hernandez and Marabina, and with us from the Trend Talk show. How you ladies doing today?
Hola.
Hola. We're fabulous. Thank you so much for having us on the show.
Oh,
yeah, we're really glad to hang out with you in Florida, all the way from Hollywood.
Yeah.
How's the weather over there?
A little overcast today, but we only have two seasons. It's hot or it's cloudy. So right now we're having a little bit of a cloud, but I'm sure that it'll clear up.
Oh, that's good.
Well, that's good.
So how are you guys holding up through all this stuff going on?
We've actually been pretty good. I mean, Maravina herself will tell you, but as on our end, we've been inside. We go out for shopping. We've been out to restaurants like 3 times, and we went out to do a co-hosting event, Maravina and I. But otherwise, we're in. We're following the rules.
Right. And I have an 18-year-old at home who recently got accepted at USC. So basically we have breakfast and we go to our respective computers, and that's kind of the whole thing we do. We're just on our computers. But it's really great that so many people continue to wear masks and they're taking care of their health. We're praying that this situation change as soon as possible.
Yeah.
We're hopeful.
Yeah. You know what? That's a disciplined 18-year-old, huh?
Oh yeah, well, he has no choice. There aren't a lot of activities to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I can count on one hand the times that some of his friends have come over with masks, socially distanced outside. But it gets kind of boring. But he's really focused on school, so I guess it's a good thing.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So we're gonna ask some questions like where were you guys born? Where you came from? And a little bit about your family history. So we can start with whoever wants to start first.
Go ahead, Bel.
Okay. So I was born in Mexico in a ranchito in Momac, Zacatecas. Actually, the ranch was El Rancho del Padre. I came to the U.S., immigrated. My mom immigrated myself and my 3 siblings to Boyle Heights in the 60s. And this is where I grew up, in Boyle Heights. And I never left Boyle Heights until I went to live in Mexico for 3 years as I was performing as a folklorico dancer and professionally in Mexico. That broadened my horizons, and I came back. I was in the play Zoot Suit. That started my acting career. And during my acting career, I started getting, I was very activated politically in high school through the Chicano movement. So when I was an actress, I saw a lot of things that were not fair to Latinos. And so I started a publication called, after the play, after we did Zoot Suit, I started a publication called Latin Heat. And it was a trade publication. It's like a Variety or Hollywood Reporter. And then after that, I started producing the talk show. So we've had 3 iterations of our talk show. Maravina and 2 other guests, hosts were the first one. It's called Let's Talk. Then we did one on TV on CBS. It was Hola LA. And now we're doing independent producing because that's the best way for us, the Trend Talk. And Maravina is also one of the producers.
Wow. I have to just say, Bel, because I published Latin Times Magazine for 20 years, and I've always heard of you, and you have a great publication, and you do great work, and it's such an honor to meet you, because I've always seen your work, and congratulations. I know being in that industry is not always easy, and all of that, but thank you for all those years of that inspiration. Too.
Thank you so much for that. I that means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. ¿Y tú, Maravina? Tell me more about you.
Well, I was born in Glendale, California, regardless of how exotic I look. But I'm a proud Mexican, let me tell you. My mother was born in Mexico, and we lost her this year, unfortunately. But
Oh,
95 years, girl, 95 years.
wow.
And my father was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So I am a bicultural, biracial a conglomeration of joy and spirit and positivity. And I have to say, I also admire Bel. We have been friends for many, many years. As a matter of fact, we've always been in each other's lives. And, you know, she was so, she definitely was very courageous to take a stand and say, hey, there is no Latino publication regarding Hollywood, so let us create it. Yeah. I love working on the Trend Talk. Our focus is focusing on Latino creatives that are doing amazing things, and that for whatever reasons, they're not being highlighted the way they should.
Yeah, that's
so another great thing that we get to do on the Trend Talk is basically talk to the creatives about changing the Hollywood stereotype narrative. It's happening. It's happening. There is a lot of wonderful production coming up, but I think that although there aren't many good things about this pandemic, one good thing at least is that we've had the time to try to influence, try to make changes, and I think it's coming through. One thing that we definitely know is that the Latino voting power is huge, and especially Latinas voting power. So I think it's a time where people have had a chance to educate themselves on what's going on, trying to make changes. And, you know, Hollywood is so important because the images that we see in television and film are the images that basically tell a story of people of color in the United States. And I think that we're at a point where we understand that it's time to move up on the stories, change the narrative, and show the amazing power and resilience that Latinos have. So I'm so happy to be working on the Trend Talk.
That's wonderful. So how was it born? How was the Trend Talk born?
Well, it was actually born when we started back in 2009, a show that, you know, Marabina and two other hosts, we got together and we talked about the fact that we were not on The View and we were not happy about that. So we decided, let's just do our own show. And it was online and it was called Let's Talk. And you could still see it online, but it was these four Latinas who had a lot to say, and we covered it all in our first episode, in our pilot episode. It was during election time, right?
I tell Bel that's when we work when presidential elections are going on, and here we have another historical presidential election, and here we are coming to you with the Trend Talk.
And so we had a great time, and then we had an opportunity to go on. We were independent, and we had an opportunity to go on CBS, KCAL 9, the two local stations in LA, and we did. And what happened when we went there? We had to change our name because they didn't want Talk in their name because they have The Talk. But what happened when we went there was that we were not being allowed by one of the producers on the station side to do our show. And it ended up, he was telling us what we could do on our show and what we couldn't do on our show, when it was, we know our audience, and he didn't have a clue. I mean, if he had been right on, it's like, yes, let's do it. But he was not. And so we, you know, at the end of the day, they really weren't that interested in investing money in it. And so we couldn't do the show as often as we wanted to. So we decided to just go independent. And so we started the Trend Talk, and we've been doing the Trend Talk now for 3 years, and it's really picking up a lot of traction this year. For whatever reason, it's really, really happening. I think it's IGTV. I think it's the fact that we can do Facebook Watch, but people are really discovering our shows, even the older ones and then the newer ones. So that's the Trend Talk. And we're really, like Marabina says, excited to be able to highlight people, the producers, the actors, the entrepreneurs, everyone. We're just in love with our community, and we think there's so many fantastic people in there. Well, we need to let the world know about them, like you guys are doing with your program.
Yes.
I agree. We have to be voices for like, there's so many talented people that don't know that they have that talent inside them because it's not being encouraged, or maybe it's not being rewarded or recognized even. And I've always been a believer in that, because when I was younger, that's, you have to see people doing things that you want to do so that you can get encouraged that your dreams are not just dreams. You can make them a reality as well.
Right. The modeling is so important. I mean, I come from PBS. I used to host a show called Story Time. I used to read books to children, which was a fantastic job to have. And I'm an Emmy Award-winning host because of Story Time. But modeling, of course, is so important. If you're not seeing the positive images, if you're not seeing other people that look like you doing what you are dreaming of, how are you going to know how to do it? And more importantly, how are you going to know that it's possible? So it's so wonderful that the technology is allowing so many people to basically pick up their camera or pick up their phone or pick up their computer and speak and express themselves. I mean, it's unprecedented, the amount of wonderful content that's being created online. Yeah. And, it's so huge. I mean, even the Television Academy is highlighting all the content that is being created online. It's very important that we continue to, spread the good news that, yes, your dreams and your wishes, they're valuable. And you're not limited to just a few images. Let's continue to talk about amazing things that Latinos can do. I mean, we put together an episode for, let's just say Heritage Month, right, Bel? We'll just say Heritage Month. Yeah. But, one of the things that we were talking about in the special is, why do we only get 1 month? I mean, it's impossible to talk about contributions that Latinos have made, not only in music and sports and television and film, but in the sciences and politics, et cetera, et cetera. So, of course, we invite everyone to go back to IGTV and look up the Heritage episode that we did. And, we got to highlight some really cool people, because during this time, we've interviewed over 50 people. And we interviewed, for example, Jorge and Jaime Jarrin. And let me just say woot woot to the Dodgers, because they won yesterday. But we got to highlight a duo that is unprecedented, a father and son that do the play-by-play of the most American sport you can think of. Baseball from Dodger Stadium. Right. Why isn't anybody talking about them?
Why hasn't anyone done that story?
That story. Or so many of the amazing veterans that have, won, awards of valor. Or, it's almost as if we're only compartmentalized. We can only talk about very mundane things when, we have geniuses among us. Why? Because that's the human condition. Everybody does.
Right. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So you are covering a little bit about some of the previous stuff you've done, Marabina. Tell us some of the other stuff that you have done. Like you were in Coco, you were on Criminal Minds.
Yes. I do a lot of voice work, which I absolutely love. And I have to say that doing voice work for me has been a godsend, because the voice is not limited like the physicality. When I'm speaking, my ethnicity is not a big deal unless it's necessary. But So I enjoy doing voice work, and I have worked on, over 300 projects. I've done maybe over 500 commercials in both languages.
That's how we met, when we were doing a voice work for TV and film.
Yes.
But she also did the voice for I don't know how many seasons for Desperate Housewives.
Yeah.
One of the housewives. Tell them about that.
I was Mary Alice in Spanish for 8 years on Desperate Housewives.
Wow.
Yes. And then I was very fortunate. A filmmaker from New York, Andrea Meller, decided to do a documentary, not only about the voices that were dubbing Desperate Housewives in Spanish, but, what it was like to be a Latina, a bilingual Latina in Hollywood. And so that documentary is called Now in Español, and PBS picked it up right away, and it's available at pbs.org. What else? I've done many cartoons. I worked on probably one of the bilingual cartoons that had just the stellar cast with Cheech Marin, and it was called Santo Boguito, Klasky Shupo, the creators of so many amazing shows, the Rugrats and Duckman and all of that. They did the show. We were also at CBS. We only ran for one season, but you know what's remarkable? The show has been dubbed into every language. So actually, Santo Boguito is alive and well in all of the world. But that just
always good news for Marabina, because she gets residuals.
The residuals, yeah.
That's great news.
Oh, let me tell you, residuals are the bomb. That's why I'm actually a coach at Academia de la Voz, which is a voiceover academy. And the first thing I tell my students, the minute that you get your demo together and you start to, get some work, as soon as you can, join the union, because it's important to look to the future, to your pension and your health. And right now, as we know, during this pandemic, a lot of people are really, really suffering because they unfortunately were not able to secure, a nest egg or their future. It's very difficult. And as it is, Latino actors, you have to be versatile. That's the only way to survive in this business. And I don't know. I have a feeling, though, you have to be a little Puerto Rican too to be successful in Hollywood. That's just me.
No, I think that's your secret sauce. Yes.
There's your little recipe.
It's in our blood to be versatile. It changed like the community.
We were multitasking before multitasking. I mean, but as an actor, yes, you have to do everything, and those residuals. Going back to that, like Marabina and I did dubbing for Dances with Wolves. What was that, like 20 years ago?
Yeah.
We still get residuals on that.
And it was just on. Hi, Kevin Costner. We love you.
Yeah, it was great meeting with Kevin Costner, because usually the star, when you do the voices for the background, the star of the show the movie doesn't come to the sessions, but because he was a producer and he really wanted this to be really done well, he came, and it was a group of about 10, and we all had to learn Lakota. Yes. We all had to study, and we did like 3 days on the show, and he was right there, directing right along with it. So we could say we were directed by Kevin Costner, right?
That's amazing.
And we were fed by him, because he decided several of us to learn.
Yeah, he took us out to lunch. He would take us out to lunch.
Wow, not everybody could say that. That's for sure.
No, but I think Bel and I we've been very fortunate in an industry that could be looked at as quite insecure, and that's even why it is more important than ever that the narratives change. The up and coming actors, for example, because of streaming and other possibilities, you know, they may or may not have the same comforts that we have experienced. So therefore, it's more important than ever for those up and coming actors to have real parts, not just incidentals. They need to have substance so that they can really build their careers. And I'm very, I'm an absolute ally of up and coming students. I always impress upon them that they should be bilingual or trilingual. I like to think of actors like a tree with lots of branches. Learn everything you can behind the scenes. Learn how to produce, learn how to write, learn how to edit, right, Bel?
Yes.
Learn it all, because this way you're absolutely empowered. And then, you know, like the Peruvians say, así nadie te pisa el poncho. That way, no one comes into your environment and knocks you down, because you know what's going on and you know how to do it.
And that's why we left CBS, because they were stepping on our poncho.
I understand that. I understand that.
Come on, man.
No more stepping on our poncho, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So you know, when I like what Maribina was saying, you know, we've you're like the fourth person that we've interviewed that we've been. This is something that we have to do. We have to create our own network.
That says that, yeah.
You know, I mean, you see Oprah's got her own network, all these other people. It's time for
Tyler Perry has his own studio. Hello, that's where we
network and do our own movies and shows, and that's the way it has to be done. That way, we'll be stepping on those, not them.
And you know what's really another thing that is super important is that we support our community. Okay.
Yes.
And I'm not saying support a movie if it's bad. I'm saying support our community. I'll tell you something about how Hollywood was built is that in Hollywood, everyone employs their friends. And because we're not in their friend circle, we don't get employed. We need to be like the Jewish community and the African American community. The Jewish community will go to 7 vendors before they spend money outside their community. It's how they built their community to be a force. African Americans will come together and support and invest in movies. When Malcolm X was being filmed, they ran out of money. And the director went to Oprah, to all the African Americans who had money and said, can you please give us some money so we can finish the movie? They did. We as a community need to start supporting that way by watching shows like yours, by watching shows like ours, by watching your talent that you love that's out there. When they do something, you know, now there's a lot more independent production. We need your help because the African Americans started doing that in the 60s with all of those blaxploitation movies, you know, with John, all of these Van Peebles that did all these independent movies, and they started watching. They had superheroes way back then. Remember Superfly? They had all of these heroes, you know. They weren't mainstream Hollywood movies, but they built up their community. And were they the best of production value? No, they weren't. Right. But we all have to start somewhere. So so make sure you support when you see someone is doing a film or there's an independent film coming out, check it out. You know, check it out. You might like it. You might love it. Don't be discouraged just because there's not $25 million to back up with publicity.
Right.
As my husband says, and I don't know if he said that to you, why do people go to the movies? They go to the movies because the studios throw millions and millions of dollars so that you know you can't even avoid it. It's there constantly in your face. I gotta go see this movie. I gotta go see this movie. It's a great trailer. And even when the movie sucks, they still got you. You know, so do us a favor and give independent productions and Latino projects the same courtesy, even though they're not promoting it with all these millions of dollars. So
because we have good stories.
And we're very diverse, and we all look diverse. Latino,
exactly.
You know, we come in all different colors. Our eyes are chino. You know, we can play chino parts. You know,
our hair is chino too.
You know, chino, Latino, you know.
I'm Latino and Chino and black.
Val, tell them what you were saying.
Our darker brothers, Latino,
What
but,
Val has Chicapinos in her family.
Oh yes, we're a mix. Actually, we're a mix. My son, he got married to a Filipina, so we call our grandchildren Chicapinos. So there's such a mixture of our race now.
Yeah.
And that's actually what the world is going for. That's why some people are very angry, because they're not any longer the dominant race. But we are a human race, and we're no longer all one race. We're intermarrying, we're intermixing, and that's the world nowadays. And people have to change, and it's just the way it is. You can't stop it. All of these groups that are trying to stop it, you just cannot stop it. That is the new world order.
But on the other hand, the future is bright. I mean, there are so many young people that are so mixed. I mean, I call them global citizens. My son is a global citizen. I mean, we have so many things more in common than the things that we should continue to harp on to separate us. I mean, bottom line, everyone wants their health. They want success. They want their family to do well, and they want to live a joyful life. Everybody wants that. So let's just get on board. Let's help each other out. It's a great world. Let's be positive about life.
We need to definitely get together, all of us, all the actors, talk show, everyone, and say, hey, let's get the funding, and let's form a network, a big Latino network.
Now you're talking. Okay. Now you're talking.
And we already do. That's why Latin Times is so important. That's why our media is so important, because we already have a Latino who owns the studio in Atlanta, Georgia. Who used to run Tyler Perry's studio, now has his own. He has Arau Brothers, because it's him and his brother. So that studio is already in place. It just started, so it's just getting going. But if he ran Tyler Perry's studio, he knows what the heck he's doing, because a lot of the movies that Tyler Perry put out were produced by Ozzy Arau. And then you also have Robert Rodriguez, who's had his studio since the 90s. Since the 90s. When Hollywood wouldn't let him do Zorro and cast Salma Hayek in the lead, he said, I don't want to do the movie if that's not going to happen. And Hollywood said, well, you'll never work in this town again. And sure enough, he didn't. First, he went off to Texas, opened his own studio, and did all his movies there. He never had to come back to Hollywood. So, we already have those two awesome people who are already doing projects. And yes, they're going to do other projects. It's not just Latino projects, but they employ Latinos. Look at the careers that Robert Rodriguez made when he did Spy Kids. Those two kids, I mean, he built careers. He gave Danny Trejo that boost to become the superstar that he is. Yeah. So we already are doing some awesome things. We already have a studio. We already have production companies. We already have the actors. We already have the name actors. So when you say J-Lo, everybody wants to see that movie. When you say Zoe Saldana, who is the star of Avatar, everybody wants to see that movie. So we have it all, like you were saying. We just need to realize it and empower ourselves with that, and just keep going and support. And I think we got it.
I think we also need to share and collaborate information. Like, for example, like you have a voice, we have a voice, and like if we want to just you're doing a story, maybe we can do something for that person too, or vice versa. That way,
great idea.
If we're getting more voices, then we're louder, right? And we're loud as it is. But it's about sharing that information sometimes. Like, hey, you know what? This person is doing this, and maybe we can give them some exposure. And we share that information with you. Maybe you can help them as well. So sort of like that, because then, we have the talent. We just need to raise our voices. And if God gave us voices, which he did, that's what we're using it for, to uplift
Well, you know, that's interesting that you just say that. I had a panel discussion this past Saturday, where we had Thomas Sainz from the Mexican American Legal and Education Defense. We had Edward James Olmos, Pepe Serna, Julie Carmen, and then we had Alberto Mendoza, who is the president of the National Association of Hispanic Journalists. And basically, we touched upon exactly what you just talked about, how we need to expand our coverage and connect and support. So we asked him, we need more coverage, because we just said we need more promotion. We need more stories about our projects, about our talent, so that people get to know them. So yes, let's make that connection right now with Latin Times and say, when we find someone that we feel is going to be a big star or that we need to support, we'll let you know. Like, for instance, Marabina, who's that one talented actor that they need to know about and they need to cover?
You need to know about Benjamin Levy Aguilar from
Benjamin Levy. Yeah, we're doing a piece on him. Yeah.
Isn't he adorable? But besides that, I mean, already at such a young age, he's already had like 3 or 4 different lives, you know. And that's a great part. And of course, his mother is being played by Alana Ubach, who we adore from Coco and a million other things. That woman is such an incredible actress.
Yes.
I mean, there's another case where ethnicity is really second, because she's an amazing talent. You cannot deny it. You cannot deny it. But yes, we're Benji's madrinas, and we love him, and we're very supportive of him. And yes, talents like his, they need to be highlighted. He's worked so hard, and I'm sure if you've seen the show, he's really working physically too. It's amazing. He's amazing. Yeah,
we were actually gonna do a cafe with him, and we had some family. We had a death in our family, and we had to kind of step back for a month, really a month. Just kind of regroup and gather your strength again and all of that. But yeah, count on it, because we did get an interview with him on paper, but I would still love to feature him on video, because he is a great talent, and that's inspiring, because like with reading his bio, I remember that he's done so much in such a short period, almost like living lifetimes, like in a condensed version.
Right.
So that's admirable too.
And I would love to share with you some of the independent filmmakers that reach out to us constantly, because we are kind of tradey. So a lot of filmmakers, reach out to us because they have no money. They got all the money to make the film, and now they have no money to promote it.
Right.
And some of these projects are really, really good. And so I would love to share some of them with you, so that, you can also consider any coverage that you might.
That's what it's about.
We would love that too.
We're about working together. We're all about
we may have to have a monthly East Coast, West Coast cafe.
Oh, yes. East meets West. East.
Yeah, because a lot of times, I'll tell you that for Latin Heat, a lot of times I'm a lot short on what's going on the East Coast, because I'm so focused in Hollywood, and this is where we live, and this is where we do business. Yeah. But sometimes we miss some of the stuff that's important, that's happening on the East Coast. So we need to keep this connection going here.
For sure.
Yeah,
and vice versa.
They've been trying to get some movies allowed here in Florida. Actually, Andy Garcia right now is working on doing a film, I believe in Tampa, a new one. And, that's something that we're all trying to work on over here, is bringing more exposure over here to Florida and the East Coast. But I believe working together, that's the only way we're going to do it for our people. Work together, work with other diverse cultures too,
Absolutely. I mean, but the reality is that other cultures are covered in mainstream. It's the Latino Americans that are not covered, because even our brothers and sisters who are 100% Espanol, great, but that's not the Latino American experience.
Right.
As a matter of fact, that's what Bel and I were trying to focus on with the Trend Talk. our voice is the American Latina living in the entertainment capital of the world, Hollywood, California.
And why is that important? Because the GDP of the American Latino, which is
Yes.
$2.6 trillion.
Yeah.
If we were a country, we would be the 8th largest country. Okay, so we matter. Latinos who live in the U.S. matter, and we are different from the ones in Mexico, from the ones in Spain, from the ones in other countries, because our life stories are not being told, because now Hollywood has discovered the 3 great directors, which all props to them, but they just want to do, and their stories, but their stories never focus on American Latinos. Not one has focused on American Latinos. They focus on Mexican stories. They focus on an immigrant story of someone coming over, but not the story of the American Latino who is a professional, who is a genius, who is a scientist, who is not just a cholo, not just a narcotraficante. And if I see another narcotraficante movie, I want to just like...
How about the ones who brought cafe over here? You know,
Yes, how come we don't do that story? Oh, Juan Valdez, they got rid of him.
Yeah, sandwich cubano.
Well, but you know what's great is that we can have this conversation. And also, I mean, Bel is right. Although, of course, we adore these wonderful Mexican directors, how are American Latino directors ever going to get a deal if they can't make a movie? I mean,
and they're going to say, yes, but look at the quality of movie that they make compared to the quality here. The Mexican government, subsidizes films over there.
Yeah.
Here, nobody is subsidizing these American Latinos. So what they put out has been amazing compared to that. They have to scrimp and save because Hollywood studios don't fund them, because if they do, they want to make the lead that's a Latino into an Anglo person. Right. So they don't do it right. And B, we don't get the subsidies. And so, come on, for a while there, Sundance would just overlook American Latino stories and go directly to Mexico and promote those. Now they understand that there's these filmmakers, and now you see more. But yes, we are different. American Latinos are different. Yes, we're the ones that are lacking our stories. We're the ones that are buying all the movie tickets. We're the ones that are the best consumers. $1.3 trillion in spending power. Okay. So that's why we're important. And I think that's what we want people to understand, is that we matter, we're important. And that's why we do the Trend Talk, because that's who we highlight, American Latinos.
So tell us where you can go to watch your show, and when the next show is going to air and who's going to be on it.
Well, you can see us anywhere in the world going to IGTV. All of our shows are up on IGTV. In Los Angeles, on every Sunday, we are on MeTV at 7 a.m. But the good news is that after those shows air on MeTV, they go to IGTV, Facebook, LatinHeatCinema.com. So,
and our website.
And our website. Yes. So just follow the Trend Talk Show and you'll be able to find us. We're everywhere.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you, Bel Hernandez Castillo. Say hi to your husband.
Yes,
for us.
say hi.
And Marabina Jaimes. It was a pleasure.
It really was.
Both of you.
It really was.
And don't go off. We're gonna end the program, but we want to talk to you. So Thank you so much for joining us. God bless you.
Of course,
it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we saying goodbye now?
We're saying goodbye till our next interview.
Thank you for being here.